Hi, my name is Biz and welcome to 10 Levels of Palming. Today we're going to be looking at just how difficult palms are from the point of view of a magician. And since there is a magician here with us, and that is you, can you please take the deck and let's begin. We're not going to do this the traditional way and start from level 1 and work our way up to level 10, but rather we're going to do a dance and go all over the place as I show you how different palms, like the classic palm, the Tenkay palm, or the Backpalm, which you probably already know,
close-up magic,
how the difficulty of each one of these changes based on where we're palming the card from, like the top, second from the top, the middle, or the bottom. Obviously, there's a lot of moves that one can use in each one of these situations, but I have selected a few palms that are modular, and we can adapt them to any position in the pack. This way you can see how the difficulty spikes or lowers depending on the position and depending on the motion that we use in order to cover that palm. The first move that we're going to start with at level 1 is the wave palm. And just like the title suggests, you're basically waving your hand over the deck and palming the card in that process. Now there is a problem with this because since the card is face up and you're waving your hand over the card and it vanishes, obviously the card is in your hand. But it's when you show that it is not that a little bit of magic happens. Let's bring that card back so we can start playing with it a little bit more. Now, this is a level 1 move because you're doing exactly what the spectator thinks you're doing. You're waving your hand over the packet, and in that process, the card just sticks to your hand. And I teach this to laymen, I teach it to people that have never handled a deck because of just how easy it is. But how can a magician take this and actually make use of it? And it's in using it together with what we like to call cover. When you take a motion and you use it to cover the sleight. And in this case, seeing as I need to wave my hand over the packet, I need to motivate this in a way. So if I have a spectator on my left side, then I can just point towards that person, and in that process I can palm the card from the top of the deck. If, for example, I am doing this motion where I'm thinking during the performance of my trick, then at one point when I palm the card, then I bring my hand towards my chin, it's not going to be as suspicious as if I wouldn't have done that before, you know? And this level 1 move starts going through different levels of difficulty based on the motion that I need for the trick that I'm performing. So a cover where you're pointing towards your left side is like a level 2, but one where you're putting up towards your chin is like a level 3 or 4, depending on your hand and depending on just how many people are around you. Now let's take this card and see what happens if we move it one card underneath. So now that it is second from the top, just how much does this have an impact on the level of difficulty? You would think that not a lot, right? Because it's just one single card. But in reality, a move that used to be level 1 is now level 7 or 8. Because I have to move my hand over the pack without disturbing that top card and palm the second card in the process. Let's see how that looks like. Just like this, you just wave over the deck and the card sticks to your hand. It's supposed to look invisible. It's supposed to look like nothing has happened. And similar to the wave palm in the first level, you have to mark this, you have to cover it in such a way that the spectator doesn't see. So you can point at certain objects or at people and then palm the card that is second from the top in that process. But what happens if we go even deeper? If we take this card and we move it in the center of the deck, somewhere about there, like 25th in the deck, you would say that the difficulty spikes again, but rather I would say it stays at the same position, if not lowers a little bit. Because when you're palming a card second from the top, there is no cover. It's just one single card that is giving you a bit of cover in your hand. Whereas here, we have a lot of cards that are covering something that you're not seeing, which is actually helping me to palm that card from the middle of the deck much easier than I am palming it second from the top. And this is why this move is actually level 5. Now, we can continue and push this card even further in the deck and bring it on the bottom of the deck. Obviously, we can use the same method and palm the card, not like that. Obviously, we can use the same method and palm the card from the bottom using the same palm, but magicians don't use the same technique for every position in the deck because, one, it's boring, but that's not the number one reason. The reason is that the sleight that you need is not always the same sleight. There are sleights that are much better for certain positions in the deck, and it kind of makes sense, which takes us to the second position in the deck, which is the bottom. For the bottom, we're going to use a different technique, and also we're going to mask it in a different way. This is what Ed Marlowe, a very famous cardician, used to call action palms. It's when you perform an action like a swing cut, and in that process, you're bottom palming the card. Now, if we would take this slide, which is a level 2 or 3, and we perform it on the card that is in the center, it doesn't matter that we have a lot of cover on it, it instantly becomes a level 8 or 9 move. And it looks something like this. You're just cutting the cards just like that, and in that process, the card is being retained in your left hand. Now, just because you can use this move for the middle, it doesn't mean you will use it for the middle. But magicians will many times use moves just to show off to their colleagues, which is why I am doing this video. Okay, enough about the classic palm. What about the Tenkay palm? Can we Tenkay palm a card from the deck? And if we can, should we? Magicians use the Tenkay palm many times for color changes. Like, for example, having a card like this, and then blowing on it and the card changes. And we can do it again, blow on it and the card changes. Now, the Tenkay palm was popularized by Ed Marlowe, and it was used in so many of his switches, steals, and color changes. Nowadays, whenever I see somebody execute the Tenkay palm, it's usually for this vanish that a lot of movies have popularized, and which apparently I cannot do. But this one is a level 2 move. The one that I did before, the color change, that would be a level 4 move. But the Tenkay palm, honestly, I never use it to Tenkay palm a card from the deck. More that I would do is I would retain a card like this from the bottom, and from this position I would move it into Tenkay palm. This would be a level 1 move, because all you're doing is you're retaining the card and then moving it into Tenkay. And the beautiful thing about Tenkay is that it allows you to open your fingers. And this is why in many situations it's nice to sit at the table with your hand open and appear as if you have nothing, whereas in reality you're hiding a playing card. Okay, the Tenkay palm, the classic palm, these are like the foundation. But what about the back palm? Whenever you see somebody talking about the back palm, they're thinking about Ant-Man or any other movie where the spectator is seen, where the magician is seen vanishing the playing card and then making it appear. Many would think that this is a level 1 move, but I would say that this is a level 3 move based on just how much strength you need in your fingers in order to do that. The simple fact that now you're vanishing and bringing it here and then making it appear makes it a level 6 move from my point of view. But what if you take the playing card, you place it on top, and you want to palm it from the top of the deck? You can do this in a certain motion like this, and in that position I've already back palmed the card and now I can produce it. This becomes a level 7 move just because you need a little bit more dexterity in order to do it. But just because you can do it doesn't mean that you will. And many of these palms are actually used just for skill, like I previously said, especially on social media between magicians, as we just want to share ideas and have a little bit of fun. In the second phase, we're going to look at performing palms while the deck is on the table. Now, should this make things more difficult or easier? I don't know. It really does depend on what you want to accomplish. Palming a playing card from any position in the deck that is not the top is going to be much more difficult. But palming the card from the top is a level 3 or 4 move. It can be done by just spreading the cards, showing the spread to the spectator, and then closing it back again. In that process, you can retain the card in your right hand. Now, what if we move this lower in the deck? What if we take this card and we place it in the center? Is it possible? What sort of level do you need for this? Well, it is possible. It is doable. I'm going to show you guys just like this. We can palm the card, but as you can see, it is just a show of skill because it is so obvious what is happening. Still, from the point of view of how skilled you have to be in order to do this, I would say it's a level 8. 8, maybe 9, depending on if you want to ego boost yourself or not. But what about the Tenkay palm? Is the Tenkay palm something that makes sense using in this situation? Probably not, since we have the classic palm and we can use it for most of the situations that we're going to be in. If not, we can grab the deck and use it in our hands. But if we must, I would not use it for the top card, but rather I would take the card and place it in the center and steal the card from there. Surprisingly, stealing a card from the center using Tenkay is much easier than using a classic palm. Since we can have so much cover and appear to be so empty-handed, the ace looks like it is there, but it's actually stolen right here in my right hand. Now, the question that I know you must ask, and you will ask, and you are wondering right now, is if we have gone through most of these levels, what is the one that is the most difficult? And I would say the one that is most difficult is being able to do all of this and still maintain the deck in full deck order, just like that. So I just had to take a look. You can't actually see the playing cards from over there, so I'm gonna have to raise them over here and just show you as best as I can all of the playing cards. So I would say level 10 would be using sleights in order to create a magical effect. Because what is difficult for one person can be easy for somebody else, and the other way around. This is why this whole list is super subjective. Well, depending, some answers might be the same as many other magicians, but a lot of these will range depending on the size of your palm, just how much you've practiced a certain move, and just how skilled you are in sleight of hand. My name is Biz. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Let me know what you think about the whole video in the comment section below. If you have any questions, I am very happy to reply to any of them in the comment section. If not, you can contact me. There's my email in the description. And we are Big Blind Media. You can learn a lot of the things that I showed you right here on our website at bigblindmedia.com. And until next week, I hope you have an amazing time being yourself. That who says, nobody says that, right? But I really hope you have an amazing week.